Hey y'all, welcome to today's episode on the Playmaker podcast. Today I've got a super cool and exciting guest, a college friend of mine, Miss Taylor Murray, former UK basketball star, is joining me on the podcast today. So, hey Tay, what's up?
Hello, Maggie. How you doing?
I
Thank you for
am
having me
good.
on today.
I'm so excited that you're here. You are just a rock star, and I am pumped to get to just dive in to know Taylor Murray, the basketball superstar, a little bit more today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, for y'all that are not familiar with my story, my sophomore year of college, I was a manager for the women's basketball team at UK. And while I was there, it was Taylor's senior year playing ball at UK, and I got to know her and we became friends pretty quickly. I just kind of
We hit it
gravitated
off, you
towards
know?
each other. Yeah, we did. We did for sure. And so we have kept in touch. We have our little FaceTime dates to keep up with each other's lives and stuff. So I'm just super thankful for you, Tay, and I'm just excited to share you with the world.
Thank you. Like she said, yes, we met. Basically, she was on the basketball team, and she was a manager. But I mean, with our relationship, I didn't really treat her as a manager. I treated her like a normal individual, like someone going to school, and you would help me with things. I would help you with some things and stuff. And
Hmm.
you were that next person besides like my teammates and stuff. But that next
Yeah,
person I can go and talk to. You would help me with like school stuff that I needed help with, like papers and stuff. But you would be
yeah.
that next person that I needed to go to, like if I needed to like vent or get something out the air, or just someone that will like help me better explain it in the situation and look at it in a different view.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what you were to me too. And it was cool because, as a manager, I was like bottom of the totem pole, right? Like I don't even know if I was like I felt like I was below the totem pole, which is not a good feeling, to have. But Taylor stood out because she, along with some other girls, but she was super intentional to like get to know me and like was intentional to talk to me every time she saw me and cared more about than just what I could give her and what I could do for her. She truly was like, "Who is Maggie Hudson?" and like what is your story? And we just
Right.
just developed a friendship, and it was just so cool because it was just such a servant leadership model that like she did not have to interact with me and give me the time of day like she did. She didn't have to like speak as kindly to me as she did. I think I learned a lot about, being with people that feel entitled, and Taylor would never came off that way and was just super just down to earth, just genuine. Exactly what you saw on the court was exactly who she was in the locker room, like same person all the time. And that is also just how you have found just a good solid person, is when they're the same, authentic at all levels regardless.
Consistency is key, right? Especially being on the best,
Exactly.
especially like, okay, yeah, you're going to have your moments on the court, but like staying consistent, doing your role. A lot of that has
Yes.
helped me into who I am today as an individual, like a lot of just
Yeah.
with basketball and stuff, but just like, hair and just being professional. And,
Yeah.
it goes a long way with respect.
For sure. So tell us a little bit more. Like, we know basketball is your world, but like, who is Taylor Murray? Like, where are you from? What was life like growing up? How did you end up at UK and now
Okay.
playing professionally? Like, just tell us a little bit about you.
As Maggie introduced me, I'm Taylor Murray. I'm from Teaneck, New Jersey. My mom is a single mom, and a lot of the stuff that I am today is because of her and all the support that she has given me between traveling through AAU games and stuff, but just being a good, constant provider for me. I've been playing basketball since I was probably like 5 years old. Not physically on the court, but like I started to feel like I wanted to play the game and started bouncing the ball when I was 5 years old, and I learned it a lot from just my grandfather. Anytime like I would have to go to school, I'd be like, Pop, I want to go to the court. So he would take me outside, and I was very short then. I didn't know much, but just the practicing and him just saying, you got it," just like gave me like, oh, maybe I can actually do this when I get older. I currently live in Maryland now, but I didn't move to Maryland until I was 6 years old. And then I went into rec basketball. After rec basketball, there was a few people that were saying, you know what, maybe you should put your daughter in AAU. So my mom didn't know what AAU was. That's what's different levels. So she didn't know what AAU was. And
Right.
I think with like resources and stuff and finding the right people to get more information, I went into AAU, and then since AAU, that's have been my ongoing story and journey to how I got into college. I was traveling a lot. I went maybe from maybe 3 to 4 different teams. You just have to figure out which is best for you, what's the flow of the team, So I probably was in high school, freshman, sophomore year. I started traveling all the way to Philadelphia. And the
Wow.
team was called Philadelphia Bells. They were like one of the top Nike national teams out there. But this being at AAU gave me a lot of exposure and stuff. I always played up. So by the time I got to my junior year, I was already playing with people that was at my age. So just playing up, like you're very short, but like, you want to compete at the highest of the highest level. So the only way to know how you're going to be at your own age is to compete against people that are much older than you. So that has grown me into
Yes.
I was in today. I would say too, just like how I am today, like a lot of hard work, consistency, putting myself in like a
Mhm.
set schedule has helped me too. But just traveling a lot, you meet a lot of different connections. I've had met a lot of friends throughout my career. AU has did help a lot. That's when college coaches start to look at you.
Yeah.
Me going into basketball, I know that okay, well, since my mom is a single parent, what can I do to help her? And I knew that basketball was something that I love, and I knew what I had to do in order to make it to the next level. So not just with that too, but also like keeping up with my grades too, because basketball isn't just who you are as an individual. I mean, I'm gonna eventually stop playing, but like me getting my degree and stuff was also important too. And that's
Yeah.
how I ended up at University of Kentucky. Didn't expect me to go to the South, but the SEC conference is a very known conference
Oh, for sure.
at the time when I was doing my research. So it was either between that or ACC. And Kentucky just stood out. When I had went for my recruiting visit, I felt like I was like surrounded with family, since am the
God
only
bless the SEC. That's right. That's what it's supposed to feel like.
since I am the only child, I just felt like, okay, where can I go where I felt like, okay, I can make my teammates like family as well, since I'm gonna be there for
Yeah.
4 years and not really I'm gonna be back and forth from home. And so what college will separate me? And at the time when I was going in, I didn't know that I was gonna start my freshman year, When you're freshman, like you're still trying to learn what it's like playing in college. College is different from high school. The pace is much faster. You're gonna be faced with a lot of more like stronger people. Like you have to get in gear to prepare yourself. So I didn't know I was
Mhm.
gonna start, but I mean, like some things you're just never prepared for. Well, you prepare yourself for, but you just never expect what's going to happen. So I mean, hey, they called my number, and I was able to go out there and do what I needed to do. And I had started my sophomore through senior year, but I also had a good mentor too. Her name was Janae Thompson at the time. When I was a freshman, she was a senior, so I learned a lot from her to prepare me for when my sophomore year did come. So yeah, I had a good 4 years at Kentucky. Those relationships and the coaches that I had there, I will always cherish, and I'm still in contact with them to this day. And one of my good friends, Macy Morris, she's one of my best friends that I met. So still talk to her to this day, and sometimes you go to college, and those are the people that you're gonna create relationship with,
Yeah.
like you, as
Yeah.
of course, but Macy as well. And we played. We were together all 4 years. But it's funny when at the time when Macy and I were playing, I met Messi first when we played against each other when she was with Kentucky Premier and I was with the Philadelphia Bells. I don't remember if it was her dad, but it was maybe one of her teammates. They had asked me, "Oh, are you gonna come to Kentucky?" Because at the time they were one of like my top 5 colleges, and I was like, "I don't know.
Mhm.
You're just gonna have to see." And then right before my going into my senior year of high school, I was like, I had announced that I was gonna go and stuff, and I felt like it was a really, really good decision. With the ups and downs that I went through, what my freshman year and going into my sophomore year. But they always say
Mhm.
like you're gonna go through trials and tribulations. I think it's how you overcome them as an individual. And how I
Yeah.
was taught was just because something comes in the way, that doesn't mean you have to jump right away. You have to see how
Yeah.
the situation's gonna overcome. And like I said, I was put in a position where I was able to start my sophomore year. So that was pretty good and put me in a position where I had to lead a little bit more, but just figure out the game. Each year, I felt like I got better and worked on something. And to this day, I'm still working on my leadership. For me, I'm not the best outspoken person. I'm a very soft spoken person. And my position that I play too, I mean, you have to be very vocal, but I'm not someone that just gonna scream at you. I'm more so like a person I'm gonna go talk to and build a relationship because as my position, you're the basically the quarterback on the court as if you're like the head coach. So
Yep,
it's not about
exactly.
how it always goes a long way of how you are explaining it to the person so that they can get it too, because that is my teammate that I'm going to have for the years that I'm going to be there. So I think it's always important because some people understand things in a certain way. I may say something to someone else, I may have to say it visually, like get the ball and have to explain it to them that way. So everyone's different, but and you always have to, you're going to build a different relationship no matter what. But that always goes a long way of how you like present yourself to that
Yes.
individual. So I graduated in 2019 from University of Kentucky. At the time, I thought, okay, when you're playing basketball, you're like, okay, well, I want to go to the WNBA, and I had that in my dream. But graduating, that wasn't my dream then, and it took me some time to like overcome that, because I'm like, you know what, like you go through all these situations in your head, like, well, why didn't I get drafted, this and that? But I realized that,
Yeah.
okay, maybe God has something different, and everyone has a different path. My path is
Mhm.
different from another individual and a lot of other my friends that I played with in like McDonald's All American and Jordan Brand Classic and the
Yeah.
USA Basketball. So my path was to go and play in Europe, which a lot of women basketball players go and do. And I'm still young and I'm traveling the world, but I can honestly say that I'm still doing what I love, and I'm still
Yeah.
blessed to be able to do what I love. So right after I graduated, it takes a little bit of time. Like you have to find an agent, you have to find what's best for you, the connection and stuff. You just don't want to sign with anyone. But like I said, with the help of my mom, I had got an agent, and my first country that I went to was Hungary, Budapest, Hungary. So I was in the main city, and who would have thought of that? When you are starting to get prepared, you're like, okay, well, these are the countries that you hear, like Italy and Portugal and France and Paris, and I'm like, Hungary, like I've never even heard of that at all. So I had to like look it up and see like where it was close by, and to I'm like, okay, well, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know much information, like I don't really know. But then
Uh-huh.
you go on Google and you do your research, and they say like Hungary is like one of the top 5 like places that people like to go and visit and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to like anything like out of the blue, I'm going to somewhere that, okay, like it's a top 5 country that a lot of people like to go visit and sightsee. So I prepared for all of that, and one thing about me, like I'm always going to be in the gym, I'm always going to be in shape, and like I said, it took me a while to not understand like why I didn't get drafted. So it took me about like a week or so to get out of my head and be like, you know what, I'm still going to be able to go and play in Europe and go and be able to do what I still love to do. So I got back into the gym, and I just had graduated from college too, so that was a lot to just soak in
Right.
my head and stuff. But I was like, all right, well, let me get out of myself. So I just started training, and I trained at least like 3 times out of the week. I prepared to go to Hungary. Normally, your season is for like 8 months, so that's pretty long. I mean, like I said, I'm the
Yeah.
only child too, but I think being the only child too, and also having that consistency and being independent too, had helped me a lot too when I was in college going to Kentucky. So, like I said, with the support from my mom and stuff, and me just being able to FaceTime her whenever I can, went a
Yeah.
long way. And I knew that I was doing something that God put me in a position to do, and just have the support by my family and stuff. And then
Mhm.
around that time, Hungary, I was still developing. Now you're overseas and stuff. So that playing style is very, very different. Overseas, you're playing with people that are like at a bunch of different age groups. You can have like people 33 on your team, 27, 28. But it's still the same process where you still have to be professional, introduce yourself, work your way into getting to know your teammates and your coaches and stuff. The culture is very different. So I think that everyone's different. So you may have to take like a week or two just to like learn like the basic languages of how to like your greetings, of how to say hello and how to say thank
Mhm.
you. Like that goes a long way. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of when you come into that country, everyone knows that you are an American. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, so it's not really like hard to bypass. But I mean, sometimes they want to really know what you're there for, and then you make a connection there, they can show you around, but they also want to be like, wow, you're coming here to play basketball, so that's really good too. And then around that time, COVID had happened, so I wasn't able to finish my whole entire season. And my birthday is in January, so I just came home for that. And all of a sudden, as soon as I got back, we probably had like, I want to say at least a total of 12 to 14 games left, and then we all knew that COVID was in the air. We just didn't know, okay, when like we were going a recession or something like that.
Right.
So I had came home in January, and then I had left, and then maybe around February that's when everything started to get really, really serious. You started hearing the news and stuff, and we probably had 2 more games left in the regular season. But then I think the president, he had said, oh, if you're an American and you're like in a different border, I advise you to get home quickly. So everything took time. Like I had a bunch of family members calling me, and I'm like, well, I can't leave yet because I'm still in my contract. When I was in Hungary, like my cases wasn't as bad, so the club wasn't as rushing for me to get back, because even if I did leave, then I couldn't come back, and then I would have to negotiate my contract and stuff. So the club had waited for the Federation of Hungary to like cancel the season, and maybe after that they had booked me a ticket on like Sunday and I got back. But good thing I did, because one of the teammates that I talked to today, she was like, "Oh, you got out just in time because they had closed down the borders." So imagine being stuck in another country with
Crazy.
not knowing the rules and stuff. You know, you can't really be outside a certain time. So after we went into the recession, I got home, which was very safe for me. And I mean, everything was pretty much closed, but I think honestly, like I got to be home with my family. You know, sometimes you're put
Uh-huh.
in positions where you have to like sit down and relax and gather everything up together. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the most that I was home after like graduating from high school, going straight to college. You know, you're not really home that long too, because you come home and then you have to go right to summer school. So everything was
Yep.
on the go. So you had to make sure too that I had to make sure too, like I had to see my grandma and stuff, make sure everything was good with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in our session, and I just stayed home, worked out as best as I could, try to keep us like a positive mindset head. We didn't know what will be happening next.
Yeah.
I worked with my mom a couple with a few different things. My mom's in a CPA, so she handles all of that accounting stuff. So I just helped her with different stuff, you know, and I got to spend a lot more time with her. The times that I missed when I was always in college and stuff
Yeah.
and still traveling
Totally.
overseas. So I got to spend a lot of time with her. And then I'm trying to stay motivated, because, you know, being in the US is totally different than what it's like being in Europe. So I did not know what was going to happen. The stuff, all the cases that was happening in the US was totally different cases that was happening in Europe. And
Mm-hmm.
they are like several hours away from us. So their day is ahead, and we're still trying to figure out, okay, what is happening in the US, and where
Yeah.
everything is going like up and down. So it wasn't till I was still in contact with my agent, and back and forth, he was like, well, we're still trying to see if we can get you something. And, you know, I was like, you know what? Let's not rush into anything. I'm just going to stay home, like I said, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really home for everyone's birthday. I miss Thanksgiving. The only time I really am home for is Christmas. But, you know, I have to leave the next day after Christmas. So I mean, like, right, Christmas is over, I have to head back. That was in college too. So I was just like, you know what, let's not rush. Let's just wait until the following year comes. And that happened. And then my next country that I ended up with was in Sweden. I just got back home from Sweden this past year in May, and that was a really good season. I think that was a good like comeback for me, just to get myself in the groove of everything. Like I felt like I was playing more so myself. In college, like I got so caught up in the system, like I wasn't playing like Taylor Murray basketball was playing when I was back in like my middle school and high school days. So you know, you have to reflect and stuff, see what you can change to make yourself better as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I felt like myself, me and the coach, we had a pretty good relationship. And you know, it was just a phone conversation too. But like once I got there too, and we were able to see each other face to face, everything was like put together in one perspective, and we were able to go off each other and stuff. So that was pretty good too, because I feel like that's always important. You know, like even though
Yeah.
I am the one bouncing the ball and he is the head coach, you have to listen to him. But maybe if I see something different, then I can go to him, or we can connect, and vice versa. So I felt like that was really good too. And the season was well. I had met Bree there, Sabrina Haynes. I wasn't able to play with her the time that she had transferred from Arizona State, but I had met. She was in Sweden as well, so we got to hang out and stuff. But the ending of that was we won the championship, and I won the MVP final. So that was a very good like takeaway with that.
That's
Just like
awesome.
putting everything together there with all the adversity that I had to go through with COVID and stuff, but able to stick to my craft, and just get back out there. So I felt like that was a good comeback for me, and I was very blessed with that opportunity, because everything was up and down. And I didn't really have any game footage to
Mm-hmm.
put me in a position where I could go overseas. You know, it's not like college where okay, you can give this person your name and you can go. Europe, they like to look at to see your film and see okay, how can this player be best for their team? So I didn't have that. So I kind of got like nervous, but like my agent kept me confident and positive and said, just relax, everything will be okay and stuff. So
Yeah.
he put me in a pretty good league. So it was in Sweden. And like I said, we won the championship and I won the MVP finals. And that goes a long way too, because the country that I'm about to go to in the next few days, I'm going to London. And who would have thought of that too, right, Maggie? London.
I
It
know.
was
Taylor's gonna have her pinkies up sipping tea or
brilliant.
something.
So that I'm very excited for that. Like I said, I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do and to travel the world at the age that I'm
Yeah,
at,
absolutely.
and to have like my family with me to come. But I'm very excited for this one. This team I'm going to is Euro Cup, so now I'm going to be traveling a lot, playing a lot more competitive teams in.
That's
Well, it's not
awesome.
so much Europe; it's the UK. So yeah, in the UK, but also too, I'm going to be playing teams in Euro Cup too that are the top of the top in their leagues as well. So I'm excited for that. The competition, sometimes you don't really know how well you are until you compete, right? That was a
Yeah, it
competitiveness sport.
is.
It's a skill set sport. Everything's a teamwork atmosphere, putting
Mm-hmm.
things together. And I think that's a lot that comes with leadership too. And
Yeah.
my position too, like putting everything together to win. What can you do that
Mm-hmm.
separates you from how can you help your team win? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to win too, but the goal is also to get better each game. Because it's not how you start;
Yep.
it's how you finish. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very excited for this one. Sad that I have to leave a little bit earlier than expected, but when you prepare for stuff and nothing's ever like a surprise, this is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
I know I'm meant to do this, so I'm excited to be going to London. I'm going there like London, so who would have thought of that? I'm not going to
I
come back
know.
with
I
a
love
British
it.
accent though, but they do have some very nice British accents though, so that's really really fun to me to just like hear like you have a nice accent too. Like I can still hear it now that you're in the land of Florida.
I know.
So
Well, I know that me and I mean Macy too, we both and Rachel, one of the other managers with me, but we all push to like try to help you develop that true Kentucky accent and you just never really picked up on it.
I don't
That's
think
something we're still I
so.
don't know. I think after 4 years if you haven't picked it up, you're not going to. So I'm not worried about you developing any kind of accent over there.
Yeah.
But man, Tay, that was so good. You just covered so much. I want to backtrack. First of all, you and Mace were so fun. Y'all were like the dynamic duo at UK. It was so fun. And even like post grad stuff, still seeing y'all together. Love her, love you. Just like love your all's friendship. But I love what you talked about with COVID and that time of uncertainty. And I remember FaceTiming you one day and I was like, are you back in the States? Like, are you okay? What's going on for you? Because, at that point in time, like we knew nothing. We didn't really know a lot about, what's actually going on with this disease, what's happening, and we didn't know what was next. And you
Right.
just had this positive mindset in this point in time when literally the whole world was shut down and was fearful of what was going to happen. You said to me, you're like, I'm getting so much extra time with my mom that I've never had before. And you were like, and I'm getting extra time of training. Like I'm getting better. You took that time. You controlled what you could control. You controlled the controllables. It
Right.
wasn't about the uncertainty of like, oh, I'm not with my team. I'm not, over in the league right now. You're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what I can do and I can take care of Taylor Murray. I can invest time with my family. I can take care of my body and I can get better. I can take this time to grow. And you did that. And it was such a cool, positive, like just switch from what the rest of the world was doing. And it was
Hmm.
so cool to watch. And I was like, this is why she's successful at what she does. She controls the controllables.
Right, right, for sure. Well, and
Go
I'll
for
also
it.
say too, like recovery is a big part too when it comes to like any sport that you play. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like too, right, for playing for 4 years and stuff, I probably needed that rest too. Graduating stuff and going straight into Europe and stuff. But having that
Mm-hmm.
recession too, my body needed some rest. So
Yeah.
I put a lot of time into that as well too, because the longer you I feel like people say like, "Oh yeah, you want to play like 2 or 3 more years," and I do want to see if I can go that long. But too, I have to put my body in positions where I
Mm-hmm.
can continue to play longevity because you need your legs
Yeah.
at the end of the day. That's the main thing that you need when you're playing basketball and stuff. How the cut
Totally.
and different stuff like that. So
I also love what you talked about, like when you were young, playing up with people that were bigger, faster, stronger, better than you.
right,
That concept of playing with people that are just further along in their craft than you is something that goes far beyond basketball. Like any part of business or a talent that you have or a skill you want to grow, or just like as like with developing your own character, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room, right? You need to
Yeah.
go surround yourself with people that are gonna push you to be better. I think that it's so important, like, have you heard like the top 5 people that you surround yourself with, that you're around the most? Like, you as an individual are like basically the sum of the average of those 5 people.
Yeah, they say also too, like who you hang out with, like you want those people to support you. Like those relationships that you build go a long way. You know, you don't want
Yeah,
to be around people that are not there to uplift you and to let you know or be real with you. You know,
right.
I think that goes a
Totally.
long way too. And with you and like Macy as well, like to this day, like I always follow her. Like Macy, tell me about this and that. Like this coach, that coach. Like what should I say? Like she always helps me put it in
Hmm.
a situation where okay, like I can explain that or like look at it in a different way. You know. So yeah, I think like just having those people surrounded by you helps. It goes a long way. Like I have
Yeah.
you there. I have Macy there. I have Lachey there too. You remember Lachey on the basketball team? I still
Yes,
talk
love
to her
her
too.
too. Yeah.
Um, so all of us, we still stay connected with one another. Like I can help her and she can help me, but it's all about us staying connected, being real with one another, and making sure we all
Hmm.
succeed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like everyone probably thought like Macy will continue basketball, and we're both still playing basketball to this day. But I mean, she's right now in like PA school, so we all support one another. And around that recession too, she didn't know what she wanted to do, and
Right.
she was like, you know what, Tay? She always told me that she wanted to go into PA school. And I was like, you know what? Just go for it. This is the time to do it now.
Yeah.
What's going to hold you back and stuff? I will continue to still live on the dream for both of us and continue to
Yeah.
still put that ball in the basket too. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Well,
continuing to
Anne
do.
Mace had like her knee injury, and that played a factor in her too. But she also took, it's been so cool, like with her and Blair doing the 606 camp
Yeah, that
for
was really, really
Relief in
good
Eastern
too.
Kentucky. Like, there's even like with not, playing professionally anymore, she's still taking the craft and the game that she loves and that she knows she has
All right.
impact in, and is doing something with that.
That always
We're
goes a
gonna
long
have
way.
to we're gonna have to get Mace on this show.
I
She's a
think so
playmaker
too.
too.
I
So
think
if you're
so too.
listening to this, send this to Macy Morris right now and tell her, "Girl, you're next. You're coming on."
She would have a good story, you know. All the
Oh,
stuff
for
that she's
sure.
done with Bell County and still
Mhm.
to this day, you know. I think it's always giving back to your roots and stuff, and I think she's doing
Yeah.
that with the what has happened in Eastern Kentucky and bringing all the girls together and stuff. Everyone looks up to her, and she has
Yeah.
her little sis Blair there as well too. But you know, just
Mhm.
everyone coming together to make a big difference goes a long
Yeah,
way.
for sure. For sure. So, Tay, I want to talk a little bit about like practically, what is your training schedule like? Like, what do you do? And how did it evolve? Like, what were you doing in high school to set you apart? Because we've got a lot of girls in high school that listen to this show, and we've got a lot of girls in college that listen to this. So, what did that look like? What would you have done differently? Like, what training advice do you have?
I got you. I mean, everyone's training is different. Everyone goal and method is different. You know, you can't try to put a trainer how I train with someone else because like this trainer works well with me. You know, so I think when you're also in like high school too, like you're basically already practicing every day out of the week, and you at least have what 2 games out of the week, depending on like the school you go to. I know what
Mhm.
when I was in private school, I probably practiced every day and or so, or probably had a depending on the schedule, probably had like 2 games or so. Just I don't know exactly how it flowed, but I know there was a lot of practice. So I would put myself in a position to like, okay, on weekends, normally you're free then. I will like hang out with my trainer and stuff. We will work out either Saturday and then after church on Sunday, I will go hang out with him. That will prepare me to still be in shape and gear to when I had either probably a game on Monday or going straight into practice. So anytime that I had free, I will always try to see if I was able to train. Whether it was something small, because like I said, at the end of the day, you're already practicing every single day in high school. And at the high school that I had went to a private school, so you know, it wasn't so much of a sports school. It was more so much of a academic school. So
Mhm.
I think I had to push myself a lot more because most of the players that I
Yeah.
had on my team, they weren't really basketball like players. A lot of them were like
Mhm.
soccer or lacrosse. So me
Mhm.
being put in that position to like help lead and stuff, but also push myself
Yeah.
went a long way as well. And then
Mhm.
once you do finish your schedule in high school, then that's when your AAU schedule starts to develop too. So I will also make sure anytime that I was free that I will also put time in to work with my trainer. And my trainer,
Yeah.
he was someone that I did basketball stuff with, stuff that I did lifting with, but we put everything
Mhm.
together. We watched film. We see like at the
Love it.
time, like, okay, how my shot was then is better than how it was now. So there's always
Yeah.
levels to the game that you can get better with. You always have to
Yeah.
stay sharp in something. You can't, yeah, you can have your days off and whatnot, but also like staying consistent. Sometimes you
Yeah.
may have to wake up early, but that puts you in a position, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, that put me in a position to when I got to college, I knew I had to wake up 5:25, be at the gym 5:45, and be ready to work out at 6 a.m. So I
Yeah.
that prepared myself when I was in middle school and high school to when I got to college. I knew like, okay, well, I'm going to build on a set schedule. It's going to be like this. Now I also have classes that I have to attend to. So I think everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
What I had set for me was also what was beneficial for my mom too, because she also had to make sure that she can take me to this training and that training, because at
Yeah.
the time I wasn't able to drive. So I think she, like I said, a lot of the step I am today is because of her for putting me in positions to
Yeah.
succeed.
For sure.
And now
She's
I'm giving that
awesome.
back to her too now,
Yeah.
because I'm a little bit much more older and stuff. So, but
Yeah.
a lot of it to do with her, but just me helping her out too, like, okay, I can be more, make sure this and that, I can help around the house and be more
Uh-huh.
useful, be more impactful, which helped me
Yeah.
too when I got to college and being
Yeah.
organized and independent and stuff too. But
For sure.
training is stuff too, you just have to put your mind to it, and your hard work will pay off. Everything is a
Mm-hmm.
process, you can
Well,
never rush the process either.
and that's what I'm hearing is like, because like you said, every high school team is going to practice any sport you play. They're going to practice too, right?
Right.
But what you did was everyone was doing that, right? So if you wanted to just be like everyone else, you could just show up to those practices. But you were like, no, I want to be set apart. I want to go further. So you did the extra thing, the things that other people weren't doing. You were getting up
Yeah.
earlier. You were training extra outside of the gym of what was already facilitated for you, spending that extra time with your trainer on the weekends when probably other teammates were not training, you were. And that's how you started to, build that gap and just continue to set yourself apart. And just from, knowing you these past several years and watching you, like that was still true even through college, of you were consistently going above and beyond and doing, like, just going the extra mile, doing the extra thing. And that was
So you
so
have
cool
to.
to watch. How do you do that when, because there's no way you can stay motivated all the time, right? Like
No,
there's some
you.
days I'm sure you woke up and you were like, man, I do not want to go do this, but
I
you do
mean,
it anyway.
honestly,
How do you stay
I
motivated?
think honestly, like that just comes with a position like you're blessed to do what you love. Like
Mm,
no one tells me that I have to do it. I want to do it. I want to get better.
that's
I know if I
so
want to
good.
continue to succeed, that I have to
Yeah.
get in the gym, work on a crossover, this and that, work on my shot, because I'm short too, but like I said, me going to Europe and stuff, these girls are very long, so I have to be able to try to shoot over them, But that takes
Yeah.
practice and stuff, and to be able to elevate a lot more, you got to make sure like your legs are a little bit stronger. You got to do this and that to your legs, so everything is
Uh-huh.
always like developing into your game. I feel like sometimes too, like people just have a routine, but like sometimes you have to get in out of that routine, because you never know who you're going
Mm,
to be faced up against. So you always
yep.
have to be prepared. And I think with the position that I play too, like I like to be like one step ahead of that individual player that I'm going up against, whether it's on
Yeah.
offense, whether it's on defense, but also too, like I watch so much film. When I was little, I would go to sleep with ESPN and wake up to ESPN on too. So I'm always watching a game. And some people, a lot of my friends, like, you always watching basketball. And I'm like, it's never too late to learn from these other basketball players, even if they're on the NBA. There's something that you can get out of watching a basketball game. I feel like, and jot it down. Maybe you can make it useful to your game. One of
Yeah.
my favorite players is
That's what I
Kobe
was going to ask.
Bryant. Yeah,
Who's your favorite player?
my favorite player is Kobe, and that's the number that I wear. And just with his mentality and stuff, and all the attributes that he put into his game, is why he was very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that mentality too, and I feel like I have it when I'm in the game, or just when I'm mentoring to little kids and stuff. He gives me that motivation, like, okay, you can keep going, and then
Yeah.
you're always going to get better. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And I feel like with all the injury and stuff, and him coming back and doing different stuff like that, that's why he was very successful to this
Yeah.
day.
No, he's awesome, and he was mentally tough too.
Mentally,
I
yes.
remember I heard someone had asked him if he could come and like watch one of his training sessions, and he was like, "Sure, it's gonna be at 4 in the morning." And he was like, "Okay." Some like maybe it was like 3. It was some crazy time. So anyway, so this reporter dude, he like shows up at like 3:30 or something. He's like, I'm here early. Like Kobe's gonna be so impressed with me. He was like, and I got there and the all the lights in the gym were already on, and I could hear like sneakers squeaking on the gym floor. And he
Mm.
walked in, and Kobe's already like sweating, doing like all these fundamental drills. And he's like, I'm literally 30 minutes early. How did this guy beat me? And it has clearly been here while he's already started sweating doing his stuff. And he was like, dude, why do you do this? He was like, because I know that my competition's in bed right now, and so I'm gonna be doing something when they're not, because then it's like they can never catch me. I'm always ahead of them in that way. And
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
have,
man,
you have to.
that's
Well,
so good in basketball, but that's also good in just in business and entrepreneurship of
for sure.
just doing the extra thing. Ed Milet's all about like the power of one more. That Kobe Bryant lived that of doing one more, doing the extra thing, the extra mile when nobody's looking and when no one else is doing it too. That was huge.
Yeah, and basketball too is also like, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, the physical and this and that, but it's a mental thing as well, you know?
Yeah,
And I
totally.
think a lot friends that I know too, mental toughness is a lot. There's a lot that we can preach on when it comes to mental health and stuff. But I think just having that mentality and stuff to get
Yeah.
through. I don't really say this as much, but my name is like Taylor Jenny Murray. So now that I found three letters that go with the T, the J, and M, and it's called Tough Just Mentally.
Ooh, that's good. That's super
Yeah.
cool. I
So
love
that
that.
that goes a long way, and
Yeah.
with those three names, like it defines me who I am because like
Yeah.
I'm tough
Absolutely.
and just mentally, like you have the basketball isn't
Yeah.
just a physical sport; it's a mental sport as well. Trying to make sure,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, if you miss an easy layup, what can you do to get your head get out of that missed layup in your head and do what you can do next? Because basketball is played by possessions. Just because you
Yeah.
do one thing, okay, you still have more minutes to go. Basketball's a 40-minute game, not that 10-second layup that you had missed and you think
Yep.
the game's over. So that's
Exactly.
one thing. Like those are three words now that I go by through each and every day, and like
I
it
love that.
it signifies like my full name, Taylor Janae Murray, so tough just mentally. So I use that
Mhm.
because mental health is a huge thing now, and I just want to make sure too when I am playing, like I am mentally tough at the end of the day, no matter what obstacles try to come my way.
Yeah, I love that. So I've got just a couple more questions for you, but one of them is how do you become a good leader? Especially someone like your leadership style is so different than
Right.
mine, for example, because I'm so extroverted and outspoken, and you
Mm-hmm.
are so neither of those things. Yeah, you're a phenomenal leader. You're a quiet leader, but you're a phenomenal leader. How did that happen, and like why is that important?
Well, too, like being a leader comes. Everything's a process. So I feel like to this day too, I can still even become a better leader. Being a leader never stops. But I think having the attributes of a leader is having confidence at the end of the day. You can't be nervous to be a leader because then what are you letting that other person know? That okay, well, whatever, she's just saying anything out of her mouth. But if you're confident, how you speak it goes a long way. How you project it
Yeah.
goes a long way. I also think that being a leader, like leaders find a way to help the team win. And like what my position, like I'm always striving for us to win. That's the end goal to win too, but what you did as a team to develop, like how most of the time you're playing, like the coach wants you to get this field goal or this, that. But putting your teammates in position to be successful goes a long way. I also think that learning how to handle failure because nothing's perfect. And a lot of the things I'm going to use as example of basketball because that's how I am today. Like I use a lot of my examples of
Yeah.
basketball, but like a lot of
Sure.
like you have to learn how to handle failure. What can you do there? You're not going to win every game, but when you do lose a game, like how can you get yourself out of that mindset to be better for the next game? What are you going to
Yeah.
tell your teammates? What are you going to do the next practice to prepare yourself even more better for that next game? I also think that like being a leader, you have to evaluate everything. Even when I'm on the basketball court, like I have to evaluate, okay, well, this player is like has a mismatch. Okay, let's be useful with this, just like evaluating the whole court because I am like the quarterback on the floor besides the actual head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But like embrace change too. I think that's a very key thing. What you say, one thing goes a long way too, but also understanding the game. Everything's a changing mentality. Like this team may play you in defense one, and you got to be able to change it up or make sure that your teammates are put in the right position to switch up that. So I would say like that has helped me a lot, and just going to different like meetings and stuff has helped me. Like I've been getting more into reading leadership and stuff because you can always be better at something. I think
Absolutely.
you're never, like I said, you will never stop becoming a good leader. You always have to practice to become a good leader because you're gonna always
Mm-hmm.
meet different people. And like I said in the
Yeah.
beginning, it's how you may say something to one individual is going to be different from how you say it to someone else. So you never
Right.
stop, but as long as you be consistent in your leadership and try to get better at it, like me, like one thing that I always try to get on is being a little bit more vocal. I am a very soft spoken person, but that's just one thing that I always strive to do anytime like I'm going to play with a new team because they're like they don't know what to expect. I mean, there's probably so many different point guards out there, and then you have this one they don't even say anything. They're like, well, should we even like trust her? So each time you go is how you present yourself in becoming into a leadership role that way because the season's very long and you're like I said, you the point guard, so you have to lead and put them in position. And once you start to create that, then they can become more comfortable and like okay, trusting you and like okay, you do know what you're doing at the end of the day. So you never stop, but as long as you're willing to make the change and to put yourself not as an individual but as a whole, then you'll be a good leader at the end of the day and just having confidence too.
That's so good. That's so good. I love that you don't take like you're like I know I'm not outspoken, like I'm a quiet person naturally, but you're like that's not an excuse. Like this is what my team needs, so I'm going to make it happen even though it makes me uncomfortable, you know?
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that is so cool and one of the reasons that you are such a good leader. I love it. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
My one of my last questions is what do you think is one of the biggest lessons that basketball has taught you?
I think for sure, just honestly, like staying committed to my craft, and staying true to who I am as an individual. I know that I'm the one that put the ball in the basket and put my shoes on my feet and train and do what I need to do. But I think just like executing the plan and staying accountable, like listening to what if someone's telling me to do this and that, but correct it and
Yeah.
because they're telling you for a reason. They're not trying to tell you to like, oh, whatever, like they don't know what they're talking about, but they're telling you because it can go a long way. And those are also like resource and leadership too. Like for example, Coach Dunn, Lynn Dunn,
Yes.
Hall of Famer. I still talk to her to the day, and she has helped me too. And she has held me accountable of the different stuff that I do with basketball and stuff. But also too, like if you stay true to yourself, then there's gonna always be people that's out there to try to tell you, oh, you can't do this and that. But if you stay true to, okay, you know what you're doing, and this is what you love to do at the end of the day, then why not go for it? You're the one that you can only motivate yourself. No one can't tell you to get out of your bed and put that ball in the basket and try to get better
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day. You have to be that one to do it and take
That
a
is
risk
so
too.
good.
You have to take risks too, and risks is they're gonna come with ups and downs at the end of the day, but like it's about fighting that adversity to get through that risk and making sure that
Yes.
this is a decision that you want to do. This is a decision that I want to do. I know that I want to continue to play basketball in Europe for at
Yeah.
least 2 to 3 more years. That's something that I enjoy to do, and hopefully after that, I can still stay in the basketball world where I can coach and stuff, or be a help for someone that's looking after me and something like that. So I'm a basketball junkie. So I mean, we can talk about basketball all day, every day. But that I think just staying true to yourself, staying true to your craft, but also to like executing the plan. And there's always everything's a process. What I'm practicing on this move this day, like I'm not gonna get it that day and try to be like, okay, 100% the next day. Everything's gonna
Yeah.
take time. But
For sure.
and even though when you are learning new stuff too, use it in the game and stuff because that's the only way you're gonna know if you're being very sufficient. You have to put yourself where you're going to compete. Even
Mhm.
if you're not playing against people that's at your age level, you still go 2 times more than them because I mean you're trying to get to that next level. And you can
Yeah.
also put a testament to him like, wow, like where she's much better than us, but she's still got going at it each and every day. That separates
Mhm.
you too from a lot of individuals.
Man, Tay, that is so good. So good. You've got so much wisdom. I love it. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, my last question we ask everyone that comes on here, since we
Hmm.
are the Playmaker podcast, is how are you being a playmaker in this current season of your life?
Honestly, I think I'm using the tools that I was guided with, being a help to others. I didn't just get here alone. I got here through the help of others. So using all of that tools and stuff and applying it goes a long way. Using those resources, being a playmaker to see how I can always get better at my game or investment and stuff. Just being a help to others. Because they say like you're blessed because you help others. So I think being a playmaker, you have to I mean, there's so much stuff I can say, but like I'm blessed because like I'm being able to pour and give someone that I had into their dreams to be successful.
I love it. I love it. Hey, that's so good. So, so good. I am so thankful you came on the show. Y'all, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you already have, but like send this to an athlete that needs to hear this, that this is going to encourage. Like, I'm sure you've already sent it to like 3 people, but if you haven't, like, this is your cue. Go send this to 3 people that this is going to impact because Taylor just shared such good stuff. Tay, where can everyone find you in
Uh,
the world? How do we keep up with you?
well, Maggie, I am a very private individual. But if you wanna have my Instagram is Tay Murray 24, and that's all I will give. But I only really
No,
use
Tay
like
Tay Murray
Instagram.
24 is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Instagram page too. So you can look me up there. My next country I'll be going to is London, so I'm very excited for that. But thank you, Maggie. And like I said, we go a long way, but I wanted to make sure before I leave that I wanted to speak to you today and stuff too. And
Yes.
it was fun. This was fun.
Man, I the whole thing on the Playmaker podcast is to like get 1% better every single day, doing the nitty-gritty, the things you don't want to do, but that are going to move the needle, that are going to help you get better. And
For sure.
I'm telling you, I just got 1% better just being a part of this conversation. And I know that everyone that listens to this is going to get at least 1% better because this was awesome. So thank you for making the time before Miss Superstar, you go back over to Europe and start balling out again. Where can we watch you play? How do we see you in action?
Well, I do. When I was in Hungary, I do know that there was like a new rule where like you have to give like a link out. So once I'm able to get there, I'll know more information. But I do know like in Euro Cup and stuff too, like most games are televised on YouTube, so you will be able
Okay,
to
cool.
see me on there. But like for you, once I get everything there, know like what the link is and how to set that up, I can send it to you. And then if anyone wanted to watch or something like that, you can have my permission stuff. Because I feel like on the women's side, I do know that you don't need a code. You can have as many subscribers watch that game. I know from the men's side, like you sign up, you only allow one code. So that one code, that one person can watch. But I know for women, you can have multiple people watch as long as they have like your login code, information too. So once I get everything, I can send it to you, and then you and your family can watch me play. So it should be
You
it should
know
be
we
a really really
will.
fun season. I'm
You
excited.
know we will. Y'all, this is so funny. Then we'll wrap this up. But when I was a manager, we had, a family day, and Coach Mitchell, who was the head coach at the time, let all of our families, come to practice, and we all went back to his house and like had lunch together. Afterwards, it was super cool. Well, Callie, my youngest sister, she was a diehard Taylor Murray fan. I mean, like she loved Tay, and she thought it was so cool that Taylor was one of my best friends on the team. And so when she came to practice that day and like saw her in action, and then when the girls, like, because we all had talked, and I was like, my sister is going to be there, and they all went interacted with Callie. She was like starstruck, but she's got a picture. We'll have to share it on the podcast page, a picture with Tay, and I think Macy's in it, maybe Blair too. But then that's all like hanging on, and still in her room today, it's hanging up there. So I
Well,
know
those
you've
go
got
a
at
long
least.
way too. So yeah, thanks, Callie, for
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome. Well, y'all, this has been so fun. Think about the things that Taylor has said, and maybe you need to like go back and re-listen to this because this had so much good stuff. But don't just be listeners, be activators. Like take what she has said and look at it like as a mirror of how do I actually apply this in my own life, and then go do it. Like Taylor said, no one's coming to save you. No one is coming to pull you out of bed and make you do it. You can be a playmaker, but it's a decision that you have to make. So take action today and go make it happen. Go put in the work, get 1% better, and go attack the dream that you are striving for, that the Lord has put you on this earth to chase. We love y'all. Send this to people that it's going to impact, and go attack your 1%. See you next time.